station, Crystal City.
This early April 2025 trip to Long Island started off unlike any of my others and was a rough journey up to the Moynihan Train Hall in New York City. I was headed back to Long Island for another gathering involving my cousin Henry, and I thought I would seamlessly board an Amtrak train in Alexandria, Virginia, first thing in the morning, change trains at Moynihan Train Hall, and proceed east to Center Moriches. It was a good plan, but sometimes good plans go astray. Shortly after calling my Uber, I got an alert on my Android from Amtrak about the equipment being delivered late to Richmond, where train 86 was originating. It wasn't a big deal, as being an hour late wouldn't drastically alter my plans. I would just sit and read for a little while at the Alexandria station. It got better. Eventually, there was another alert. Train 86 had departed, but unfortunately ran into some sort of complication north of Ashland. It hit a truck. The municipal crews, like the police and the fire departments, had to likewise come and respond to the situation, bringing our train to a halt just north of Richmond. One of our station attendants subsequently insisted that we would be better off getting on one of the VRE trains to Washington Union Station and getting one of the other Northeast regional trains there. With that, I joined others and boarded a Virginia Railway Express commuter train headed for Washington Union Station. It might surprise you, but this was my very first ride on the VRE after living in the Washington, D.C. metro area for more than 16 years. It was comparable to the MARC train, aside from the unique overhead seating area, which made you feel like you were on a naval submarine or something. After detraining at Washington Union Station, those of us who were supposed to board train 86 in Alexandria hurried to the ticket counter. After waiting in line, I got to the counter and was told that all of the other Acela Express and Northeast regional trains were booked up until nighttime. Train 86 wasn't canceled, just delayed, so the best thing would be to just be patient and wait. That probably would have been the best thing to do in Alexandria, but the station attendant got pretty antsy herself. I thus went to the lower level to grab some breakfast at Chick-fil-A, a tasty chicken biscuit with cheese, egg, potato rounds, and an orange juice. Afterward, I grabbed something from Walgreens and watched the monitors on the concourse level as the departure time for train 86 gradually readjusted backward until finally settling at 10:49 a.m. It seemed a number of trains from the southern states were going to converge on Union Station all at once, creating a bottleneck and multiple groups of passengers at gates G, H, I, J, and K. It became a roll of the dice as to who would get on their train first, who would get to depart first. Surprisingly, it was us.
Seniors, business class, families with small children, veterans. Thank you.
A basketball coach / mentor used to say that we are creatures of habit, and without fail, I tend to board the Amtrak consists at Washington Union Station at the rear of the trains, usually putting me in the quiet car, and this morning was no different. I typically find a seat on the left or northern side of the train. At some point, Amtrak started arranging half of their coach seats in the reverse direction, which was probably to create less work when getting the trains ready to go in the opposite direction when reaching one of the terminuses. I'm a traditionalist though, so if I can help it, I like to face forward on my train rides. Once again, this was different from any of my other trips up to New York City using Amtrak. Typically, once we leave the Washington Union Station platforms and yards and turn northeast under the New York Avenue Bridge, it's smooth sailing. But this morning, for some reason, no. This morning, our already late train 86 slowed down to a complete stop parallel to New York Avenue in northeast Washington, D.C., next to the maintenance facilities and train yards where all of the fleets are kept and maintained, including the MARC and VRE trains. It was a brief stop though, and within moments we were back underway. It always amazes me how those Siemens ACS 64 engines can accelerate to top speeds like race cars within seconds. Just after leaving Washington Union Station, the conductors started scanning our tickets. Each time they scan our QR codes, their devices make a distinct beeping sound. I've captured this ride numerous times here on Railfan 76, and I'm not sure that we stopped at the New Carrollton or BWI stations on this particular trip. These days, when passing through Baltimore, I'm also curious about the new tunnels they're building to alleviate the traffic through the current older Baltimore tunnels. There are lots of videos about them here on YouTube, and there will likely be more until they are completed.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Baltimore Penn Station. Don't miss this stop. This is Baltimore Penn Station. We apologize for the... This is Baltimore Penn Station. Watch the step. Please be careful when exiting the train. There's a gap between the train station platform. We apologize for the delay. We appreciate you choosing Amtrak and everyone's patience. Have a safe and great day. This is Baltimore Penn Station.
The approach to Baltimore Penn Station from the south side is one of my favorite parts of this trip, and I think you can see the mounds of earth, rocks, and rubble already excavated when approaching the station on the left side beyond fencing when passing through West Baltimore. The new tunnels won't be finished for a while, and they are projected to greatly improve traffic on the northeast corridor. In addition to making content here on Railfan 76, I also watch other railfanning channels here on YouTube, and I'm familiar with the upgrades Amtrak and the Northeast regional states are making to the corridor. In addition to the new Baltimore tunnels, I've learned that they're planning to replace the Susquehanna Bridge, which I believe is the crossover point between Delaware and Maryland.
Wilmington, Delaware is next. Wilmington, Delaware is next. 10 minutes. 10 minutes to Wilmington.
Not every Northeast regional train stops at Aberdeen, Maryland, but Train 86 made a brief stop there as the crew tried to make up the time. Further north, I also got a nice view of the new portal bridge between Newark Penn Station and New York Penn Station. As opposed to extending straight across, it looks like the bridge is going to have a bit of an arch to it to allow the sea ships to clear the bridge more easily. We passengers won't notice it though, and this upgrade is predicted to greatly improve Amtrak and New Jersey Transit's services. The final landmark before entering the Hudson River tunnels is Secaucus Station, which is a non-stop for Amtrak trains. These days, I can't pass through this station without thinking about Joe Pesci in the movie Goodfellas. And of course, I had to go out to the street to get my halal food mix before getting on my Long Island Railroad train. I didn't see the cart initially, but I kept searching, focused hard, and I eventually found it. Once the track number is announced, boarding the Long Island Railroad trains is much less formal than boarding Amtrak trains. Once you purchase your ticket, you simply descend to the platform and board your train. My Long Island Railroad train was a long one. For my 2023 Long Island trip video, the viewer, just the commuter, corrected me for stating that my Long Island Railroad train consisted of M7 instead of M9 units that day. But based upon this footage, I can't tell what kind of units these were. Just as it's fun descending into Penn Station using the Hudson River tunnels from the New Jersey swamps, it's equally as fun emerging from the East River tunnels in Queens near the Sunnyside Yards. The Long Island Railroad coaches are not as comfortable as the Ampli coaches, but they are not designed to be.
This is the train to Ronkonkoma. The next station is Jamaica. As you reach the train, please step over the gap between the train and the platform.
Once emerging from the tunnels, you see the Sunnyside Yards off to the left as you commute through a web of switch tracks and overhead catenary. You eventually veer off east toward Long Island, while the Northeast Regional Trackage curves off toward the Hellgate Bridge and New England. From there, it's smooth sailing out to all points east on the island. I didn't capture the entire eastbound Long Island ride in this video, but I do in the next installment of this trip. Gradually, the dense, urban New York City landscape transforms into suburbia, and then the forest/rural, seaside, and small town landscape that makes up eastern Long Island. I love it. I love this area and wouldn't mind a life of local bars, New England clam chowder, and watching trains coming and going every day. The end of this Ronkonkoma route is, well, Ronkonkoma Station, and unfortunately, all train rides eventually end.
Station is Ronkonkoma. Ronkonkoma. As you leave the train, please step over the gap between the train and the platform.
Attention please, driving here, Ronkonkoma, last stop, all fast, bus change, exit here, once again, when entering the final stop in the train will be going on 13 the station with no passengers. Once again, to the right to evening, final stop, Ronkonkoma, last stop.
Now, most of the Long Island Railroad stations have two sides. When I visited Cousin Henry in 2023, my phone died and I waited forever on the wrong side of the station while Henry waited on the other side, wondering where I was. This time I knew where to go and I saw him as soon as he arrived. He was fired up about a family gathering the next night, and we talked about it all of the way into town. There are one or two more installments to this trip that are coming after this one. I had to get back to Northern Virginia after all. So with that, I'll see you on the next video. As I always say, cars and automobiles are necessary in our modern society as are airplanes and air travel. Riding on boats and being on the water is fun, but my favorite method and mode of travel will always be on the trains and the railroads. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.